Let's get to the Club World Cup and let's preview that Chelsea versus Fluminense game. So Fluminense have been the surprise package of the tournament, led by former Chelsea captain Thiago Silva. And I say it unapologetically. I think Thiago Silva has been the best centre-back in the world for at least the last decade. I
agree.
From when I remember him at AC Milan,
yes.
moving on to PSG, even when he was old and withered, he probably was better than all the Chelsea centre backs they had, and still is leading his team. Amazing. He's what, 40 years? 41?
Yes, he's 41.
That's crazy.
40. Let me, Ben, to add to what you just said, I read something about him. I mean, his time at Chelsea, and that came from Pochettino.
Yeah,
he said that, look, at the time Thiago was 39 or 38.
He's 40 now.
Yeah. So at the time he was 38, and he said, look, he's never seen a player who is so obsessed about working out, about taking care of his health, what he consumes.
That is why he's
time conscious, and the dedication with which he's shown to football.
Such a proper
so I'm not surprised with what he's doing with Fluminense. But I think the team itself, they've done brilliantly to reach the final four, coming through the group stage. Before beating Inter Milan in the last 16, Al Hilal in the quarterfinals, they faced a Chelsea side that I thought would have exited the competition in the group stage, especially after losing to Flamengo. They came back in that game against Benfica. And look, I was saying that if Chelsea don't even win the Club World Cup, and they get to face the likes of, that's if they manage to go past Fluminense, and they get to face either PSG or Madrid or whoever they face, I think it shapes them well for what's to come in the Champions League, because a large chunk of these players have not played at that high level before. And if you've paid particular attention to the way Chelsea have played in this competition, then I mean, from the first day to now, I think I've seen something with mentality, something which is growing within the team. And that's been good on the part of Enzo Maresca. I said it somewhere that, look, you can't have a squad that is very inexperienced and a coach who is also inexperienced too. I think it should be a squad that is inexperienced and a coach who is probably experienced. And that would have been Luis Enrique coaching that Chelsea team, taking you back to that conversation on. And don't disrespect to what Maresca has done, but I think it's gone.
I get what you mean.
But sometimes you could actually see it in those games that, look, that Pep discipleship thing has eaten him up to the extent that he sometimes needs to liberate some of these players like Cole Palmer. Play the young chap. He likes to operate in the half spaces. You keep him playing somewhere where he doesn't clearly. Chelsea without Cole Palmer is not Chelsea, and that's been the story. Because you've brought in so many players who've not stepped up. All right, you've brought in João Pedro now to add Gittins, to add all these players.
Wingers galore.
Yes, you should. I saw these graphics from Sky Sports. That is highlighting the wingers at Chelsea. That's 16 wingers. 16. Yes.
You mean you could make a whole starting unit and a bench
16 wingers
from your wingers alone?
Yes, including Sterling, who is still taking high wages. He's still on that team.
Wow.
Yeah, because I mean he went
to loan his back
at Arsenal, so
they have to find a way to offload him.
Exactly. So look,
good luck with that.
I think it's been a good run, but one thing that has benefited or has been a very good one for Chelsea is that they've made money from the Club World Cup, 61 million pounds.
They are over the moon with the Club World Cup because they had some financial issues coming in.
And that was before that game against what was the name? Palmeiras. So after that, after progressing to the quarterfinals, the semis, now that money they got from the Club World Cup, that's what they actually used to pay the fine. So Chelsea have been very, very excited to be partaking in the tournament, but I think it would be a very, very good game. If you look at Chelsea's run in the entire competition, somebody would say that they've not faced the top teams, but I think they would have faced.
They were on the more favorable side of the bracket.
Yes, I think that the first top team they would have faced would have been Manchester City if they didn't get themselves kicked out by Al Hilal. So look, I think it's been a very good run from Chelsea. Fluminense would give them a very, very tough time because the Brazilians are in the tournament to actually prove a point. And they've been very happy with themselves. I'm talking about all the 4 teams that came from Brazil to participate. It should be a good watch.
It really should be a good watch. Let me give you an idea of the path that the two teams have taken to get here. So Chelsea started out their campaign with a defeat to Palmeiras, and some way somehow managed to go on a run. They beat Benfica. I believe that game was really tight, and then it just blew open. They beat Esperance de Tunis also by 3-0, and then they went on to beat Flamengo by 3-1, and then beat also Los Angeles FC. So that's what Chelsea have been up to in the lead up to this one. When you go to Fluminense, they played out a spirited draw with Borussia Dortmund. They dominated that game. I'm not sure how they didn't win. Beat Ulsan HD by 4-2, drew goalless with Mamelodi Sundowns, beat Inter Milan by 2-0, and then beat Al Hilal, who beat Manchester City by 2-1. So I mean, if you think that this team is this is a fluke team, you are in for a rude awakening. Now, a couple of absentees for Fluminense that might be worrying. Now, Juan Pablo Freitas, he has partnered Thiago Silva at the heart of defense all throughout the tournament. He picked up his second booking, and so he will be missing this particular game. But in comes Hercules. Now, Hercules is a very interesting name. He has netted twice already off the bench in the knockout stages.
Then say the guy for the Hercules movie inside enter the player.
So that's what's going on there. Now, Chelsea's Thiago Silva obviously will start in the back three. But then their main man up front is a guy called John Arias. John Arias is the guy. So this is basically a counter-attacking
John Arias,
team.
I think Colombian.
Yeah. Colombian. Counter-attacking team for most part. Yeah, your thoughts? Do we have an upset on the cards, or can Chelsea see this through and make a final?
I think Chelsea can see it through and make it to the final. Look, Fluminense have had a very great run, a brilliant run. They shouldn't have been here. Last season, they finished with 4 points above the relegation zone in the Brazilian league. Coming into the tournament, they ranked sixth in the Brazilian league. So they shouldn't have made it this far. But it's a tournament, and they've had a brilliant run, and so far, and that's how come they are playing in the semi-final. But I think they've pretty much exhausted themselves. They've played 70 games so far this season. Their bench isn't that deep.
Maybe that's why they have 16 wingers.
Yeah. their bench isn't as deep as compared to Chelsea, and you can tell that Chelsea have just that like extra leg that they can kick in, or extra level that they can go to should this game travel to extra time. And we saw that in their game against Benfica in the round of 16. Once they made it beyond the 90 minutes regulation time, Benfica was just exhausted, and they just didn't have anything to push back against Chelsea, and that's how come Chelsea ended up winning by 4-1. And I see the same thing happening with Fluminense, where they will be a very difficult defensive team to break down, but Chelsea have too deep a squad to not be able to send wave after wave after wave of sustained attack against this Fluminense team to break it down. So I see Chelsea managing to go through to the final, but I'm hoping that they end up meeting PSG. Then we can get to see.
Made and show Chelsea a few things.
We can get to see if they are really up there. If they are really up there.
I just want to harp on something Gabi said to finish off the Chelsea conversation. I really want to see what Enzo Maresca does with Cole Palmer. Now, we've seen him in back-to-back seasons where he's really cooked in the first 20 games, and then he's gone on vacation before even the second round of the league begins. Now, as a coach, you must have studied the patterns. You must have studied the players' tendencies, how opponents are, marking him or preparing for him. I really want to see that, what they do with Cole Palmer when he stops scoring. How do you get him involved so he can, turn assistant or provider for the team? All of that